Tomorrow and tomorrow and tomorrow creeps in this petty pace, from day to day to the last syllable of recorded time. That's right. Tomorrow and tomorrow and tomorrow is my favorite book of 2022. And you know what I love about this book is, yeah, the video game, sure, but it's ultimately a story about friendship. And how rare is that, honestly, that two people come together over a shared common interest and become friends. That's awesome. And honestly incredible how rare a story like that is, even though it's such an important experience in all of our lives. And it's even more cool that the shared interest that they bond over is video games. Okay, so I first heard of this book on a summer book preview on Polygon late last spring, I guess, and knew instantly when I read it, the preview, that I wanted to read this book. And I did so right away as soon as it came out, and I loved it. And I told all of my friends that they should read it too, and they did, and they loved it. So generally, highly recommended book. It stuck with me for quite a while too, and lo and behold, I just went on Goodreads and saw that it actually had won the 2022 Goodreads Award for Best Fiction. And I totally 100% agree with that. It was without a doubt the best book that I read last year. So a little bit about the plot, because I guess it's good to know a bit about that. Tomorrow and Tomorrow and Tomorrow is a story of two young kids in the late 80s in LA, Sadie Green and Sam Mazer, who meet in a hospital where Sam is a recovering sick kid in, I don't know, kind of like the children's recovery unit, but there's like a lounge there and it has a Nintendo in it, and Sadie discovers Sam playing Super Mario Brothers. The two of them bond, and it's the beginning of a long friendship and the story at hand. So they spend a decent amount of time hanging out, and throughout the course of the book, they grow up somewhat tangentially to each other as they become a little bit estranged and then reconnect after running into one another in, I think, the Harvard train station or a train station in Boston, which is actually how the book starts. Later, each of them are adults with unique talents that, when paired together, allow them to become successful video game producers. The personal episodes that each of them go through as sometimes on-again, off-again friends, and collaborators, business partners, is really the backbone of the story, and over time builds to become a richly complex, real, beautiful, believable relationship between these two main characters. Beyond the main characters, this is just a really character-driven story, led by a supporting cast of also incredibly well fleshed out characters, the chief of whom is Marks Watanabe. Marks is Sam's theater major college roommate at Harvard, and he goes on to become a third business partner. God, how do I not give away too much of the story and keep this as spoiler-free as possible? I guess we can just say a lot of the story revolves around him. He, like Sam, are Asian American, and alongside Sam's physical disability and Sadie's effectively being a woman trying to navigate the male-centric, male-dominated industry of video games, creates a really cool intersectional representation that I think Gabrielle Zevin, the author, does just really well with. We also get to experience Sam and Marks's families, in addition to Marks and Sadie's various multiple love interests throughout the story, and a lot of really cool supporting characters who they meet and hire over time to help them build their video games at the company that they end up forming. As a work of fiction in 2022, 2023, It's really, really good. Honestly, it speaks to the moment that we're in, and I think has a little bit of something for everyone to enjoy. You might particularly like this book if you're a gamer, or if you have any personal connections to either Cambridge, Boston, or LA, because those cities feature pretty prominently in the development or the kind of formation of the characters' identities, and a lot of the story takes place in those two cities, featuring a lot of different locations which you might be familiar with if you have any personal connection. For example, their video game company ends up being on Abbot Kinney, which is a pretty well-known spot in LA. There's also plenty of real-world video game references throughout the course of the whole book, and I think it would be, I don't know, it'd be pretty cool to actually probably do another video just going through all of those. I think I will make a follow-up video that actually looks at each of those video game references. From Donkey Kong to Metal Gear Solid to Harvest Moon, each game offers a really unique insight into what's going on in the story, in the characters' lives at the moment with what they're playing, or, you know, when they're making games, what they're being informed by. And I think you might miss some things if you're not a gamer and you're not familiar with these. But if you are a gamer, then these are definitely games you will be familiar with and can certainly see how they come to influence the games that these characters create. So yeah, I'll save more of that commentary for the follow-up video. It is difficult to talk about this book in such a way that I don't reveal too much and keep it spoiler-free. But I'm gonna keep plugging ahead here. Beyond that, the games that they actually create are awesome, or at least they sound really cool, and I wish they were real because I would love to play them. From Ichigo, their big first hit, to Counterpart High, which sounds a lot like Persona, to Master of Revels, which is kind of a theatrical production a video game that is a theatrical production of Hamlet, which Mark says to Sadie at one point, like, hey, isn't it kind of crazy that there's no games about theater? Well, you can see why I'm into this as a former actor. This is right up my alley. The games they make are really wild, and the one that really launches their success, like I said, is called Ichigo, whose I think they suggest that this one's being made kind of in the late 90s for, you know, to kind of understand the graphic style there. But the graphic style is based off of the great wave of Kanagawa, of Hokusai, which you can see featured prominently on the cover. Maybe you've seen the full painting before. And just as an aside here, there are tons of references throughout this entire book of not just video games or Hokusai, but art and artists in all the various mediums and forms of art out there, musicians, different pop culture artifacts. You know, they mention different Broadway musicals, William Morris's Strawberry Thief, for example, and I think it's just really cool how she writes it in such a way that, you know, you can really get a sense for the beauty and the importance of these works that she mentions. For example, I guess I'll just read it. I think it's right here, this green one. While holding a textile with the Strawberry Thief printed on it, Marx's mom says to Sadie, "This was William Morris's garden. These were his strawberries. These were birds he knew. No designer had ever used red or yellow in an indigo discharge dyeing technique before. He must have had to start over many times to get the colors right. This fabric is not just a fabric. It is the story of failure and of perseverance, of the discipline of a craftsman, of the life of an artist." Sadie caressed the thick cotton. I mean, come on. You see what I'm saying? Zevin then uses that artistic context to inform the work that Sam & Sadie's game studio is doing in producing their next game, and it comes into play. Back to my earlier point here, they produce a bunch of really cool games in this book. But yeah, overall, this is just an amazing work of art in prose format. Also would recommend this book to any lover of Shakespeare because, well, come on. Tomorrow and tomorrow and tomorrow creeps in this petty pace from day to day to the last syllable of recorded time. And all our yesterdays have lighted fools the way to dusty death. Anyways, the the titular soliloquy does feature quite prominently in the novel later toward the end, but the whole book is rife with references to Shakespeare, the tragedies, and Macbeth in general and specifically. And speaking about the soliloquy in the book, Marx wants to name their game company Tomorrow Games, which, yeah, while naturally the speech is kind of a depressing speech, he finds this light of hope in there, and how it ties to gaming, saying specifically, and this is one of my favorite lines in the whole book, what does that have to do with games? Well, isn't it obvious? It was not obvious to Sam or to Sadie. What is a game? Marx said. It's tomorrow and tomorrow and tomorrow. It's the possibility of infinite rebirth, infinite redemption. The idea that if you keep playing, you could win. No loss is permanent, because nothing is permanent ever. Honestly, just thank you, Gabrielle Zevin. And what else I love about this book is the inclusion of the play as a play on play. In a sense, the entire notion of play, from its importance in child developmental psychology all the way up to the plays within the theatrical tradition. All the way back to ancient Greece, plays are, in one sense, people playing around on stage pretending that they're other people. And we play around like this all the time as little kids. And because of that, you could think of plays, theatrical plays, as a sort of game too. And I also think it's really interesting, and want to highlight simultaneously next to the kind of important pivotal role of play in our lives, that in the acknowledgments of this book, Zevin says that this is a story about work. Throughout the story, these characters are working feverishly, sometimes to the point of physical exhaustion, emotional exhaustion, putting their physical health in danger, and at the same time, they are doing this work that is about games, it is about play, and that's kind of why they enjoy doing it. So it's just this really intricate, interesting circular dynamic. It makes me look at Sam and Sadie in a little bit of envy and appreciation for the work that they do, because they've followed their hearts and they are bringing play into work and working in the realm of play. Maybe that's a bit of what I'm doing here with this channel too. I'm opening the door to have fun and create these videos in front of the camera and, do the work of that and create something worthwhile in the world that we can all enjoy and craft in collaboration with all of you, the viewers, and these videos truly do arise in that interplay. So maybe I'm getting a little bit too out there, but there's something deeply personal in there for me, and it resonates with why I'm doing this channel. So anyways, I appreciate you guys watching this video, the fruits of my labors, and you are helping me having fun, enjoying the time talking with you here. Anyways, it is just an immensely powerful book, and pretty cover too, looks nice on the bookshelf. But yeah, really, there's this I don't know, web of interconnections woven throughout the whole thing, which is just incredible as you really get into it. Please go check it out. Local bookstore, library, Barnes & Noble, Amazon, Audible. Just go read it. Honestly, whatever it takes. If you're considering reading this book, let me just end the consideration for you. Read the book. Like I said, it gets a bit sad in the last third, but it's done so well that it is beautifully heartwarming at the same time. You might get a book hangover from this one though, because when it ends, you're just left wanting a sequel follow-up. So do be aware of that. And Zevin kind of leaves open the possibility for a follow-up, which is also done really cool. Yeah, just read the book. And then come back here and tell me what you thought in the comments. This really is one where I want to hear other people's opinions, because I mean, I can't be way off, so far off base here in my recommendation. If you have read it and didn't like it, I have to know why. Seriously. But yeah. Anyways, likes, dislikes in the comments down below if you feel like, and don't forget to subscribe in order to see more content like this. One way or another, thanks for watching the video. I hope you enjoyed, and until next time.